recruiting this cycle. He did a great job of getting the group together, making sure guys were meeting on their own voluntarily and coordinating, all the things that we talk about during the season as far as what we should be covering during their workouts, during their player workouts. So he did a great job as far as being the leader of that group in that sense. And so right now the challenge for him is going to see if he can take his body to the next level, and just like Emmett had to do. And so because there's no doubt about he has the breakaway speed and he has a competitive edge when he plays. And so the big challenge for him right now is focusing on his body. That's going to be the big factor for him. And so those are the two biggest jumps he's made. But as far as his skill set, as far as route efficiency, as far as his protection, as far as his rush skills, his ability to outrun the defense, his toughness, he's very impressive. And he's going to continue to keep climbing that ladder.
When you say take his body to the next level, what's that picture look like?
That's a maturity thing, right? That's as a sorry, I'm sweating. That's as a young player. That you have to learn that, right? So there's one thing to for us to, as coaching as a staff, to implement nutrition, implement the weight room, and all those things. But on your off time, right? That's the next step for the maturity of athletes, not just Mekhi, but all athletes, all young players. They have to really dial in and to be really specific, especially guys that are fast twitch, high metabolism type of humans. That they have to really dial in and be focused and be disciplined.
Is there a target weight for Mekhi?
I think 195 to 205 is a good playing weight for him. I think that's a fair weight. And so the key is, can he maximize his speed and keep his power, right? So when you get under 190, that's when you have a little bit of concerns. But 195 to 205 is kind of the range he needs to be able to play at.
Where is Jamal Rule at as a true freshman, and just in terms of being ready to go, and how do you rep him in this competition with the other guys?
One of the reasons why we love Jamal coming out of high school were because of his physicality and competitive edge, the way he ran the football in high school. That was very evident in tape. It was evident in person when I went to go watch him play. And the kid has a chip on his shoulder. He's kind of was, the leading rusher in North Carolina his junior year or sophomore year, and then to run over 200 yards against Providence Day in a championship game, and to really not get recruited, kind of was a slap in the face to the kid. And so an opportunity for us to believe in him, and now everyone on the staff, everyone on our team seeing why we believed in him. I think that's part of his attitude. So he's going to approach he's approached practice like that with the chip on his shoulder. And so right now he needs to learn football. Right? Learn football. It's one thing. He's got to transition from being a high school football player to really learning the cycle of the snap, development of his eyes in the run game and in the protection game. So I think those are the big things for him right now. It's just the details of football is what he needs to learn, and he's doing a great job.
Is that what it takes, just in general, for a true freshman to be able to play at running back? Is just to know football, to understand what it takes, to understand the college game?
Correct. I think you could probably spot play a young freshman. As far as with their ability, but in order for us to rely on him, he's got to really be dialed into the details. And so I think that just takes repetition and experience. So he's getting some reps with the threes and the twos right now, and he's continuing to gradually grow. And then so it's really the meeting rooms, it's the quizzing, it's all the things that off the field that are really going to help him mentally play faster.
How has Mosey made that jump from year one to year two from what you've seen?
I look at him now as a real running back. Like last year, he was really transitioning, and now his movements, pre-snap, how he gets aligned, his eyes, all those things, he's really, truly bought into the position. And, the big thing for him right now will continue to be staying on that path and running the ball inside, right? That's going to be the thing he needs to really grasp. Everyone knows what he can do in space. We know what he can do on the perimeter. And his focus this spring is running behind his weight and becoming a really dynamic inside runner.
You mentioned the Genitone leave the room, then is he defense officially now?
No, he'll be doing stuff on offense with us as well. So we've had him a couple indie periods, making sure he's getting some carries. So he's doing back and forth, and so he's got a unique skill set. He's a big, powerful kid that can be utilized in short yardage. So right now it's Quentin's Quentin's role right now. I mean, obviously we're in spring; it's nobody's role, but Quentin's that guy right now. But we got to make sure that we have multiple people that can do it, and so Vince will get his opportunities for sure.
Obviously, you wouldn't turn down recruiting a 5-star running back, but it strikes me that a lot of the guys in your room have that chip on their shoulder, that maybe they weren't the highest recruited guys. How much do you appreciate that quality, and how do you hone that into something that can be productive in practice and in games?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I mean, the 5-star, the 4-star, 3-star, I get all that, but the reality is, do they have the traits that we were looking for, right? And so, yes, some of these kids were bypassed by the recruiting rankings and all that stuff. However, I think the evaluation is the evaluation. You know what I mean? And so I love the fact that these kids are motivated and they take it personal that they were overlooked. You know what I mean? We went to the high school clinic at PA, myself, Coach Rule, and a couple other guys, and every guy was talking about Mekhi Nelson and that high school coach. How's Mekhi Nelson doing? How's he doing? How's the Scranton kid doing? You know what I mean? And so the Wilkes-Barre kid doing. So, there's definitely a chip on these guys' shoulder. I mean, Jamal Rule had no offers, before he came here. No Power 4 offers when he came here. So the fact that he's appreciative that we believed in him, you can see that in the way he practices.
How much does Emmett Johnson's example help those guys? They can look at a guy who built himself up year over year to get to the season he had last year.
It's interesting. It's one thing to talk about development, and one thing to as a coach, you want to say, here's what we believe in, here's the opportunities that are on the horizon. If you do this, do that, and then all the kids watch them do it. You know what I mean? So it makes my job a lot easier, right? And Emmett's just been an example of. I remember from our first media talking about Emmett as a redshirt freshman spring. I think it was red for his second year, talking about where he needs to improve to the next spring, where he needs to improve, and he's continued to battle and fight and compete. And I think, that Emmett's second year as a full-time player here, that year he had to compete with Ramir and I forgot the other running back, but Dante. The year he had to compete, that turned him into the player that you saw last season. You know what I mean? Him learning how to compete and fight. Competition brings the best out of everybody, and the kid never gave up. If you watch Ramir Johnson, what he did against I remember the beginning of the year, he took 190 yards against Colorado down the sideline. You know what I mean? Pinstripe Bowl, MVP of the Pinstripe Bowl. Ramir Johnson was no slouch. And then for Emmett to have to compete with him in camp and throughout the season, that's going to make you the player you're going to be. You know what I mean? That's what's most impressive about Emmett, that the ability to compete and want to compete. And so if you look at him at the combine, I think he was one of the only running backs to do all the drills. And I think it's been told to me by some NFL people that they're impressed by that he's not afraid of competition. I think that makes you a great player.
Coach Rule talked about maybe implementing more counter runs. What's that challenge with you and coaching that with the running back room after doing a lot of inside zone and duo last year?
I'm familiar with the NFL run game, and so my whole background is 21, 12, 11, duo, power, counter, outside zone, tight zone. So even in recruiting, when we recruit running backs here, we're preparing them for the NFL. So we're not a scheme run game. We are an NFL run game in the sense that we're going to implement all those runs throughout the spring. So those guys will be taught the read keys for all those runs. So, counter is something that we've been doing here for a long time. So there's not going to be anything skipped there. The kids will be dialed in how to read it and how to have familiarity with how to run it.
Who's leading the way pass blocking?
Quentin. Quentin's really he's phenomenal. He's done a great job. He's getting up in the line of scrimmage. He's stoning guys. He's using his size and body. He's done a heck of a job. They all have improved. All of them. They've all improved in pass protection. That's been the biggest challenge last season, is getting them to not only identify and see it, but also use the proper technique. Connor Booth and Jamal Rule, they've stood out the last couple weeks, last couple practices in pass protection. But Quentin has consistently been he gives us our offense a nice sense of security that he's going to go in there on third down and make the block.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? How are you? Long time no see.
And then how unique is it to have three quarterbacks right now that have all been a starter in a Power 4 game?
Yeah, I would think it's very unique. Obviously, we're in unprecedented waters, with, the newness, the transition, the fluidity of rosters. But, we're very fortunate to have two guys that have some experience, or three guys that have experience. Great character, great people, fit in the room's been awesome as far as that dynamic. So excited about not only the experience that they bring, but the character and the work ethic that they bring.
Can you talk about those top three? How much versatility do you see in the top three across the board?
I think they all have like a different skill set to that point. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, but I think they bring a lot to the table. On schedule, off schedule, from a intellectual perspective. So I think there's a lot that you can draw from. You can lean a lot on them. You can ask a lot of them, and I think they're open and capable of learning that way.
Coach Rule said when Anthony arrived for the season, he was kind of struck by him with the it factor and just the impression he made. What was your first impression when you got to know him or have got to know him?
Yeah, I would concur. He definitely has an energy about him that is contagious, and people are drawn to it. He's got a nice a way about him, a confidence about him that obviously you need as a leader. So people have taken to that, and I think it's been a big deal, a big part of his role, moving forward for sure. But excited about that confidence and the energy that he brings to the team.
How do you see that manifest itself in practice?
Just that. I mean, he just brings energy. Even last night, for example, we had a couple of, situational things and some good things happen, and he's bringing some juice and excitement. And I would add that the other quarterbacks as well are bringing that. They're all congratulating, jumping up and down, and when good things happen, they're bringing energy to the environment. And it's a very positive thing that way. Excited to see.
When you talk to your quarterbacks about the one or two things they gotta absolutely do to play for you, what are those one or two things that are like the top priorities for you?
Yeah, we always talk about educated decisions. There's so much. You want to try to keep it as black and white as a quarterback as you can, but there's just so much that happens, different situations, scenarios, and so forth. So from that, how do you react and make educated decisions? So within that context, we talk about purpose. Every play's got a purpose. You can't figure out what you're going to do after the fact. So as we react to what's happening, we got to react with a purpose and hopefully with an educated decision.
Landry, he reduced his turnovers last year, but I'm sure you've gone back through the tape and watched a lot of those. What did you learn from those, and how do you feel like he's grown from them?
Well, he's a quick thinker. He's a quick processor. He makes decisions, and to his credit, he's convicted with those decisions. The last thing you want to do is get out there and second guess what you're doing. So I appreciate that from him from a conviction standpoint. I think, again, to those educated decisions, when do we want to take those risks, or when do we want to get through the progression and then truly take what the defense has given us? So I think it's that fine line of making decisive, convicted decisions, but also, weighing that risk versus getting through progression and taking something a little easier.
How have you seen TJ embrace the competition aspect of bringing in Anthony and then bringing Danny back?
I think that's the word. He's embraced it. He's as much of a competitor as we have on the team. And to his credit, compliment to him, he's invited that, and he's supported and pushed those guys to be better, from his perspective too. And that's raised his game. I'm excited about what he's doing. He definitely has a different composure, confidence, poise about him in the pockets, making great decisions, and he's definitely stepped himself up as a leader in the team.
How do you think the end of last season helped TJ's development and what he was able to learn from some failures?
Oh, man, how valuable is that, just to be able to run out there in front of 90,000 people and have to do that as a true freshman. I think just limitless that the exposure that he's had to that. And it's always good when you can go back and talk about those looks in a certain game. It's like, well, hey, remember you got this versus this team, and we should have done this. And when you draw from personal experience, you really gain more from a learning perspective. So I think on a lot of levels, he's gained a lot of ground and has benefited from that.
What if anything's changed about Danny since he's gotten some playing experience?
Yeah, he's just more and more confident, it's reasonable expectation. 2 years later, he's better than what he was 2 years ago. So he's got more confidence, more assertive as far as the personality is concerned. Everybody on the team loves Danny. He's got fantastic personality, very contagious leadership, very selfless, makes all the right decisions. So excited about where he's at and, again, how he's impacting the team.
How much has the offense changed for him since he left Nebraska? Because obviously Coach Holgerson came in late when he was here, and now obviously it's a new era with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think the foundation, as far as terminology and basic schemes, probably similar. But as anything, there's evolution. But as I say, he's got great retention, extremely good learner. So he's picked up, the tweaks here and there very seamlessly. But for the most part, the foundation's very similar.
How do you feel like Danny's personality plays into the group that you have, the room that you have, where you have three, like you said, unique to have three who started. What Danny brings to the dynamic of it, how does that impact things overall?
Well, not only the experience, but just action is the most important, right? You can talk about it, but can you be about it? Can you be selfless? Can you be about the team? And all those guys, I feel like, are that in that room. Like I say, supporting each other, congratulating each other, trying to make each other better. So as other people on the team see that dynamic, I think that's imperative. And the other thing we talk about to that point, I can't even remember. It's been 10, 12 years since I've coached that we haven't needed more than one quarterback. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality. So those guys understand that at any time I'm in there playing. So I got to be at my A game every opportunity I get. So the attention to detail, the urgency to get better every day is paramount.
What do you have in mind for Calandria as far as how much you run him? What do you Dana talk about in that regard?
Yeah. Coach Tomlin always use the term prudent use, So, but I think the movement piece is going to be organic, whether it be off schedule passing, those type things. So I think you have to be, somewhat smart about that. But some will happen naturally. There'll be a handful of built-in runs. He can do that, but I don't think you want to be reckless with that. So it'll definitely be strategic and when needed.
You mentioned the different skill sets. What are their strengths and weaknesses from your perspective?
Well, again, the experience I think is huge, and for the simple fact of the more experience, like talking about the personal experience, the more scenarios that you get put into, the more that you learn from it. So those guys have been in live environments where they're having to see progression, work through progression, get through footwork, and the more that you see that, the more that you learn. So those guys react. The more that you're in it, they react better. And I would say that's probably the biggest benefit of those guys having experience is they've seen a lot of different things. How do I get through it? How do I adjust to it accordingly and get to the right guy? So that's one thing I've been excited to see.
What are their specific strengths, like Calandria and Kalen and Latif? What are they each one good at?
Again, probably Ant and the fact that he's had so many reps, right? He is a quick processor. He reacts very fast. But sometimes it's like, hey, like I say, the conviction of making a throw. Sometimes, I'm not quite. I don't want to be so fast. Something might be better. I got to get through it. You know what I'm saying? As you guys know, TJ's a very, just from a personality standpoint, very calm, very. Melancholy, if you will, personality, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't get too worked up about stuff, right? But that being said, he's making good decisions, he's reacting on time, and doing some good things that way. And then what I really respect about is Danny is he's so coachable. I remember a couple years ago we'd be teaching him, hey, let's throw this seam on this, and he's really he's trying to be aggressive and doing what you're doing, and sometimes puts himself in harm's way because he's trying to do what you coach. Well, you make some of those mistakes, and then 2 years later you learn from those mistakes and you're better. So I definitely appreciate about them, and they're all trying to move the meeting room into the practice field. So good things are happening that way.
What have you seen from the new offensive line and just how that group looks with Jeep Wade and maybe how that kind of changes your view of things of what you do back there?
Yeah, really impressed with those guys, man. They've, the new guys, and then even the guys, coming back with, Justin and, I know, we're in a good place with that way. I would say I think they're learning really good. Jeep's done a good job with them. Jeep and I were together, 25 years ago or whatever it was in Division II, a long time ago, and it's been fun to be back with him and his energy and his intensity and his attention to detail. But I'm excited about those guys. Obviously, the confidence that the quarterbacks have in those guys is important as well. So I think they're playing fast and have confidence in those guys taking care of their assignments.
Coach, there's currently a bill going through Nebraska legislature to help speed up the process to get Coach Osborne into the Nebraska State Hall of Fame. What has he meant to maybe you in this program, and then what do you think he means to the people of Nebraska?
Well, I don't know if you can put words into that, to be quite honest. I mean, he built this place, you know. He's the foundation of what this place is and what we're looking to get back to.
Thanks, Glenn. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. What's the one or two things that you know now about playing running back that you didn't know last March?
First off, I'll say, hey, how you guys doing? What do I know now? I know a lot. I mean, from pass protection, I feel like I've gotten way better identifying who to get, who to see, who to look, using proper technique. Still getting better with the physicality, but honestly learning it, I feel like I know way more.
They're asking you to run inside more now. How is that going? How comfortable are you?
I feel like I've been really comfortable in that aspect. Like, I feel like I'm growing. Like, as a running back, like last year, I'm seeing stuff that I didn't see before. It's slowed down to me, so I feel like actually being in position. Like, if you think about it, I've only been in position for a couple months now. It's going on a year in the fall camp, so I feel like I've been learning pretty well in the inside zone and being patient and being coached right.
Coach Barthel says he sees you as a real running back now. What does that mean to you, and what does that look like for you in practice?
That means a lot. I mean, like, coming from where I came from, receiver, you know, like, I like to be on the outside. I'm not as physical or like, picking up pressures and stuff. Like, you don't really get that at receiver. But now that I'm at running back, to hear, like, that I'm growing and I'm getting better from my coaches, I feel like that's an honor.
When did you start to feel like a real running back?
I want to say coming back this spring is kind of when I'm like, I'm here. Like, I feel like I can play this position now. You know what I mean? Like, you doubt yourself sometimes when in the beginning of the season, like, hey, can I do this? But now it's like, I can do this. And putting on the weight that I did, and Ms. Kristen and Coach Campbell believing in me, like, putting more weight on and all this stuff, I feel like it helped me.
What's the spring been like? You guys are already 6 practices in. I mean, can you describe just the tone, the approach, getting after it so early for you guys right now?
I'm loving where the spring is going so far. It's super competitive between offense and defense. I feel like that's the better edge than we had last year, and it's a brotherhood at the end of practice. Like, it's no edges. Like, I mean, we go at it in practice, and after we hugging each other. So I feel like that's a big sign of brotherhood, and we're going after each other.
You have a lot of coaches that can help you, but your dad was also a running back in his day. How has he helped you?
Kind of just watching his stuff. Like, he probably doesn't notice, but I watch his tape. I try to look up his old high school clips or his old college clips to see, like, hey, what did he do as a running back? And then sometimes he teach you, like, hey, son, do this. Hey, little notes. He ain't going to do it because he don't want to be in the way of Coach Barthel, but he's going to tell me a little bit things like, hey, son, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I listen and take it into play.
When you made that move from receiver last year, a lot of that was kind of out of necessity. You know, the team was deep at receiver and needed a running back. Was there a point where you thought this is permanent, or how did that progression go in your mind to know that you were eventually going to stay at the spot?
When I kind of moved, it was kind of like, hey, do I really want to move? But I'm like, hey, whatever to do to help the team out. You know, it's not selfish when you come to college. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. And when I first moved, I'm like, hey, this may be temporary. Like, we just need running backs right now. I'll move back receiver probably next season. And then my body started changing. I'm like, I really can't go back to receiver right now. Like, I'm getting too big. So just kind of like soaking it in and actually becoming a running back and studying and actually taking it.
What was your kind of training your eyes from, you know, being out wide to training your eyes from the backfield? Like, where do you think that clicked for you, or like where you think you saw it like a running back?
Honestly, like watching last year, I had a great example, and then just kept practicing this offseason. I really worked on the film part, between the tackles, defensive linemen, like splits and all that. Like, so just slowing it down for real, just actually seeing the picture.
What was your weight when you got here, and what is it now?
I was 195 when I first got here, now I'm 215.
I mean, how much, you mentioned like Kristen and nutrition and all that, how much have you just become so dedicated to that process, to build up your body and how it's helped you?
Really dedicated. To be honest, I was nervous to gain a lot of weight because I didn't want it to be bad weight. But I knew Miss Kristen. I told Miss Kristen, hey, like I wanted to be lean, and she said, I got you. And then they put it in a plan. Like my nutritionist Abby, he's put it in a plan. Tell me what to eat. Tell me what to drink. I feel like it's helped me so much.
Not that receivers aren't tough. Of course they're tough, but do you feel tougher now? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I feel a little. I felt tougher receiver, but I feel a little bit more tougher now, running in the trenches.
You could take some of those receivers if you had to block them or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's that O-line looking like to you?
Amazing. I mean, even all the groups, red, white, all black, every group looks good. I mean, those guys are working hard, and Coach Jeep is really helping them. So I feel like just watching those guys progress, I have no complaints about them.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Quentin and Mackay here, so bring Quentin. All right, questions for Quentin?
Hey Quentin, how big was last December to you going into that bowl game, and did you see that as an important month to sort of build into this year?
I feel like yeah, I did. I really like December because it really gave me time to like hone in on my skills as a third down, fourth down back. So it really helped me be able to get better at pass protection and things of that nature.
Barthel, EJ just said you were the best pass protector in your group. How much pride do you take in it? Why do you think you've ascended to that level?
I feel like once you just get out of because I guess pass protection in a way can be kind of scary, but once you get out of that mode and your head that you think is gonna hurt, and you just realize that it doesn't really hurt that bad, it helps being able to really be able to get good at it.
What did you learn from Emmett? I mean, he's a guy that had to wait quite a while to get his opportunity. You've had to kind of wait behind some guys too. What did you learn watching Emmett kind of go through that process?
The main thing I really learned from Emmett, because I was here since his redshirt freshman year, and competition, he didn't want to get beat out, so I feel like seeing him do that, how can I word this? It's seeing him not want to fall behind anybody else is my bad. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but it's not want to fall behind anybody else. It's pushes me to want to not fall behind anybody else. That's the easiest way I can word it.
Quentin, what did it mean to you guys as a group that Coach Rule, from right around the time of the bowl game, said that Nebraska had everything it needed in the running back room for 2026, and that they, while you didn't have a ton of experience, there was never this move to go out and find a back in the portal in January?
Yeah, I love that he put confidence into the room that we have now. We're all great players. Mackay, Isaiah Mosey, Connor Booth, even Maul. Maul's been really showing out these past couple practices, and I think what we have in our room is going to be special.
What's the key to being a good short yardage back?
It's really, I wouldn't say it's simple, but it's just get your pads down and just get those yards. That's really the easiest way I could put it.
What's the biggest difference you see with the new offensive linemen that are playing right now that they brought in?
They're big, I'll tell you that, and they can, and I like that too.
So they get down to the second level.
Yeah.
I think you were 4 for 4 in the bowl game on your short yardage situations. When you have a role like that, how determined are you, knowing maybe you're not going to get as many carries, but they're huge carries, you know, to get those first downs.
One more time, I'm sorry.
Just like when you get those limited opportunities on short yardage, how determined were you in that bowl game that, you know, I got to get these first downs? These are big, you know, for my team.
I feel like I just really had to capitalize on that and like make sure I have something to put forward to the team in a way.
What's that energy that Calandria brings? Coach Thomas was just sitting here and said that he used that word. Coach Holgerson used that word. What is it from your perspective?
He's a very energetic type of person. Like he'll always like. I mean, like, yeah, everybody gets energetic when like we score in practice or whatever, but like he throws a good ball and he'll be the first one in the end zone celebrating with the receiver he threw it to, and just things like that.
Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's been your priority this spring in terms of individual improvement?
I'll definitely say getting my weight up. You know, that's always something that you could do. You know, especially me being a smaller, every down, all-purpose back. I'll say, you know, definitely trying to get stronger in the weight room and definitely work on my catching as well.
Coach Barthel said the biggest jump he's seen from you this offseason is your off-the-field maturity. Why was that so important for you?
You know, coming in here, you know, I was a young kid. Came in here, I was 17, I turned 18 when I got here, you know, so that comes with growing pains at times, you know, but definitely seeing like the older guys that were around me, like Emmett, Vermeer, when he was here 2 years ago, you know, that definitely like helped shape me and help groom me into the player that I am today, like seeing their off the field things and like how they attacked the day, like when it wasn't, like when we weren't on the field.
What did you learn from Emmett's development, just watching that in real time?
Seeing Emmett, like, and everything that he had to go through, like, it was special, you know. Emmett, 2 years ago, he was kind of in my position, you know. He wasn't getting the reps that he felt like that he should be getting and stuff like that. But just seeing Emmett in the offseason, like, put his head down, like, he's in the weight room 10 minutes before everyone else is, you know. He's in meeting rooms. He's staying after practice to get extra catches in, stuff like that. You know, just seeing, like, his process and the way that he went into shaping the way that his season went last season, like, it was definitely, like, special.
How was your patience last year? I mean, waiting to kind of get your turn at times.
You know, I just stayed hungry. You know, I always felt like my chance was going to come. My name was always going to get called. So, you know, just staying patient, you know, and it's not very hard when you have someone like Emmett. You know, he was an All-American. So, you feel me? Like, I can't really be mad at that. So just seeing, like, the way that he attacked the day, attacked practices, stuff like that, I just took that and put it into my own pages.
How much did the bowl game provide a little momentum for you here for these last couple months too?
I definitely felt like it strung me a little bit. You feel me? Made me know that, like, I can actually do this and I can actually compete with the best of the best. You know, we played Utah, highly ranked defense, highly ranked offense, highly ranked team at that, you know. So just seeing that I could actually play this game, especially at a high level, you know, just made me feel like I was hungry and wanted more.
Is there a feeling among the running backs that you're all going to be needed? Like last year was a little bit unique in that Emmett carried such a big load. But do you go into 2026 feeling like there's going to be roles for 3 or more of you guys in every game?
Most definitely. I feel as though everyone in the room could impact the game in their own way. You know, every day, you know, hearing the guys, you know,
it's special when you have a room full of guys whose mindset is being the starting running back and not only keeping the running back of the year award here, but also bringing the Doak Walker award to Lincoln. So it's great and it feels special, having a group of guys, especially like Connor and even Jamal coming in and staying after practice 30 minutes to catch and having me help him with his reads and his alignments and stuff.
What's been your early impression of that offensive line with some of the new guys involved?
Oh my God, it's great. Running behind those guys is definitely special. It's definitely different. The play style that Coach Deep has them doing is definitely different, but I feel as though it's going great.
Corey last week used the word swag when he was talking about Calandria with this offense, and I know it's been 6 practices, but what do you see that he brings?
I feel like he just brings something like special to the room, some more excitement, and definitely like piggybacking off of what Ja'Cory says, like he brings a different type of swag to the offense. Like, he has a handshake with everyone on the team, including the offensive lineman, which I feel as though like we haven't really had that.
Does he do much off the field? Like, have you guys gotten with Anthony anywhere off the field, or is it mainly in the facility on the practice field?
Oh, definitely. As soon as Anthony came here, I don't know how many people he texted, but he definitely texted a couple guys, was like, yo, like, I'm doing some stuff at my house, come through. Like, I want to get with y'all boys. And, like, he's really, like, He really likes connecting with the whole team, not just the offense. He's always talking to someone new. He's always sitting with someone new in the lunchroom and stuff like that.
How would you describe your relationship with Coach Barthel? He said it's nice to have all of you guys come back again because he knows your strengths and weaknesses. How would you describe it from your perspective, getting to work with him?
I'll definitely say it's something special, especially me and EJ, we go way back. He was the first guy to ever take a chance on me, offer me my first scholarship when I was 14. And I feel as though, like, we just built off of that, like, over these last couple of years. And I would describe it as, like, a uncle and nephew relationship for real.
I think Coach Barthel also said you guys all have chips on your shoulders, under-recruited, overlooked, whatever it might be. Does that kind of build on itself in some of these spring practices now too?
Of course, everyone's saying, he wasn't this in high school, he wasn't that, he wasn't this, I feel as though that doesn't mean anything in college. And then, everyone's saying that maybe we should have got a portal back and stuff like that. But I feel as though us not going in the portal and them really focusing on our development just shows, like, the care that they have for not only the kids, but for the team itself, and I feel as though that definitely, like, gives us more of an edge and makes us want to work harder, since, like, they're like, all right, we're their guys.
Was there a moment where they said that to you, like, hey, guys, just so you know, we're not going to the portal, you're the guys? Did they kind of make that known to you publicly at some point?
They definitely did. So I wouldn't say they made it public, but I definitely feel as though they went out their way to contact everyone, get with everyone, sit with everyone, and tell them, like, hey, like, we're focusing in on you guys, like, we're honing in on you guys and your development, and we definitely know that you guys could, like, hold the job.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Question for TJ.
Hey, TJ, now that you have some distance from the last 4 games, what did you learn the most? There were some really good moments. There were some hard moments too. What did you learn the most from those 4 games?
Just being able to play the next play. It's football. It's going to be some good plays. It's going to be some bad plays, but don't let the bad play affect the next play.
How do you feel like you did with that?
I feel like at times one bad play probably could have affected the next play. So just learning from that and being able to not let that go in to the next plays.
So what is your focus this spring? You got that. Now, when you head into spring, where do you want to get better in your individual game?
Just being less mechanical. I mean, I feel like one of the things that I'm good at is making plays off schedule. So if I need to make a play off schedule, make it off schedule instead of being mechanical and just sitting in the pocket.
What have these practices been like with a very unique quarterback room where all of you have starting experience?
It's been fun. I mean, I wouldn't want any other way. I mean, we got good quarterbacks. We got Ant, brings a lot of juice to the room. So we got Danny, he brings juice to the room too. But a big thing that I like is iron sharpens iron. So every time we go out on that field, we're making each other better. We're improving each other's game. Like, I'm doing stuff I haven't did since I got here, just because of the other quarterbacks that's in the room.
In the games you started last year, was kind of following up on what you were saying before, were the coaches kind of asking you to maybe not improvise so much until you got in the flow of things?
Oh, no, none of those words came out of their mouth. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the one that's playing the game. They can't tell me how to play the game. You know what I'm saying?
All you guys, have decisions to make about where you're playing, what schools. Did you go through a decision-making process after the season?
Nah, no decisions. I mean, I'm here. It was nothing to think about. I wanted to compete for the starting job, so that's what I'm doing.
How did the coaches handle with you? I mean, you say that, but it's kind of reality in college football that everybody at least has that in front of them if it's something that they want. So, how did the coaches handle with you? Telling you, hey, we're not going to bring in one quarterback from the portal, but we're looking at bringing in two quarterbacks from the portal, and like, what was your initial reaction to that?
No reaction, it just makes it more fun. Like, I feel like people shy away from that stuff. I don't shy away from it. I embrace it. So I'm not going to shy away from what's going on.
Was there a point, though, where people maybe tried to indirectly reach out to you or people around you to say, hey, just so you know, there could be opportunities? I know, does that happen a lot with quarterbacks, especially when Dylan was still here at that point?
I mean, if they did, it didn't come to me. It came through another source. So those things I honestly don't know. I feel like those just distractions. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a Husker, so that's why I'm here.
Coach Thomas talked about your leadership and poise and said he's seen an increase in both of those areas coming back in the winter and spring. Has that just been a natural evolution for you because you've been in the program for a season, or have you made a concerted effort to increase those parts of your game?
I mean, I feel like a leadership role. Like, I feel like it wasn't a leadership role. I mean, I feel like I always had it in me, but it just took me to take that next step. But I feel like I've always been a leader, but I probably didn't say nothing. Probably lead by example. Now I'm leading by, example and encouraging others to come along with me.
Hey, TJ, the running backs that came through here too. How have you seen that group grow and evolve since the end of last season?
We got great running backs. We got 4 great running backs that can go. We got Mekhi Nelson, Isaiah Mosey, Quint Oz, Jamal Rule. They all can go. I've seen it since spring ball started. All of them are great in everything that they do. They all bring different traits to the running back room.
How describe some of those differences?
I mean, Quentin Oz on 4th and 1. If you want to go get the 4th and 1, you put Quentin Oz in the game. You want an explosive, you put Ike, you put Isaiah Mosey in, you put Mekhi Nelson in, you put Jamal Rule in. You want some catches, you put those 3 backs in the game. All those backs have good traits in catching the ball too.
What have you seen out of that revamped offensive line?
It's a great offensive line. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, just being able to drop back and just sit in the pocket and throw the ball. I mean that's the start. I mean that's where it starts at. It starts up front. So I can't be who I am. The quarterbacks can't be who they is. Running backs can't be who they are. The receivers can't go get the ball unless the O-line's right. And the O-line's right.
For your development, what are you specifically trying to improve on for this spring?
Being less mechanical.
Coach Holgerson had mentioned in the offseason they talked to Ja'Cory and Isaiah about just being in this program. They both mentioned because you're here, they have nothing to think about. When you hear that from your receivers, what kind of trust and bond do you have with them?
Man, I have a great bond with all those guys. The whole receiver room, from top to bottom. I got a great bond with all those guys. I mean, this off season we've got a lot of work in. I got a lot of trust in them, and they got a lot of trust in me. I mean, that's all you can wish for in the receiver room.
Anything else for TJ? You know, Quasi's from your part of, because he's from LA too. What's your impression been of him?
I mean, I've been on Quasi. I played a couple 7-on-7 tournaments with Quasi and back in high school, so I knew what he can bring to the table, and I knew what he can do, and I know what he can do. I mean, that's a guy that works, not on the field but off the field too. Like, you may catch Quasi in right now out there working on the jugs. Like, that's just him. You know what I'm saying? He's always been somebody that wants to strive to be better. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's all you can wish for.
Did he reach out to you when he's thinking through his decisions and say, what do you think of the play?
Yeah, we had a couple phone calls before he pulled the trigger.
All good.
Appreciate you guys.
Danny next.
That's a shot.
Questions?
Welcome back, Danny. What's it been like to be back after your time away?
Yeah, it's been really good. You know, Nebraska's my home, and there's so many people on this team that I have really good relationships with. So the transition's been really smooth, and I've been really enjoying being back for sure.
What did you learn about yourself in your time away?
I mean, it was my first time being away from home. I was living on my own, being away from family. So I think that year, you know, kind of just doing things on my own was probably big for me just as a human being and becoming an adult. I think I learned a lot about myself that way. So, yeah.
Is there something in terms of facilities or daily routine that's changed since you were here the last time a year ago?
I mean, the facilities were already built when I was here. They're great here. I don't think anything. I mean, there's definitely things that have changed, but nothing really stands out too crazy.
Anything that you appreciate having been gone that this place offers that maybe you took for granted the first time around?
Definitely like the recovery facilities that we have, whether it be like the sauna, the red light, just being able to take advantage of that on a day-to-day basis and you know, keep your body at a peak state has been huge and something I took for granted when I was first here.
You probably could have gone any number of places. Why did you want to come back?
Yeah, like I brought up before, the familiarity is huge. You know, this is a place that I wanted to be. You know, I believe in Coach Rule and the staff. I believe in this university, and I think we can win a lot of games. And it was pretty easy choice for me for sure.
How's been the rotation of reps in practice? There's 3 of you, so how are they trying to balance all those things together?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on that. I mean, we've been rotating for sure. It's been competitive. I think the QB room's been a lot of fun. I think it's been the most kind of collaborative QB room I've been a part of as far as guys not really having an ego, just being competitive and pushing each other to get better. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Did you have to compare notes about playing at Virginia with Anthony?
Oh yeah, I mean he played a lot more at Virginia than I did, but yeah, it's pretty unique us both being at Virginia before and being a part of that staff down there. It's probably pretty rare to see that happen.
QB rooms then, you know, the one here as a freshman, and then last year, when you say it's more collaborative than anything you've been a part of, what do you mean by that, and like what are some ways that you and Anthony and TJ help each other?
Yeah, I mean, you know, today's college football, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different aspects involved. You can see a lot of different guys, and I'm not calling anyone out, but you know, there's egos and there's money involved, things like that, and I think that can kind of create some tension or problems sometimes in a QB room, and I think there hasn't been any type of issue like that with the room that we have right now. It's been great. You know, we've been doing some things outside the facility together as well, which is, I think, kind of rare and unique. So I think that's been a really cool part of the room.
How did I don't know if you call it the process or whatever, but how did it actually happen to where you coming back to Nebraska, you know, became a thing?
Yeah, you know, I didn't even really expect to be leaving. You know, the last school I was at, things kind of happened pretty quickly, and when I got in the portal, I was able to get in touch with Coach Rule pretty quickly, and when I knew that this was a possibility, and I came home over break, and I was around former teammates and some of my best friends, it just made a lot of sense for me. And like I said, the familiarity, and it's really comfortable for me coming back home and being around people that I know.
Who were some of those guys that you were around that helped convince you that you wanted to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like two of my best friends are Bodie Sokup and Carter Nelson. We're really close, spent a lot of time together. I moved in with them coming back here, so those are two guys that I'm really close with and helped me make that decision easier for me.
You got in a bunch of games last year at Virginia. What did you learn about yourself as a college quarterback in that experience?
I think experience just helps bring confidence. Kind of tells me that I can do it at this level. There's obviously a lot of plays I want back. I think there was a lot of positives too, and being able to get that experience and some Power 4 games and playing against Division I teams, I think was big for me because I didn't get in at all my first year here. So I think it just helped me build confidence, and experience is huge in this game.
You touched on it a little bit, but what is Anthony like?
Anthony, he's a great guy. He's full of energy. There's never a dull moment with him. And then as a player, he's super mobile. He can execute all the plays, make all the throws. He has a really strong arm. So it's been really fun being around him and growing a relationship with him.
What's changed with the offense, if anything's changed since you left Nebraska?
I mean, I wouldn't say anything like philosophy-wise has changed huge. I think there's tweaks here and there to certain plays. There's some new plays. There's also some things that have been streamlined because the terminology is the same, or obviously not everything has changed. So I would say, yeah, like it's a similar offense. I think some things have gotten better, maybe with Dana and Glenn and everyone on offense being able to collaborate together with different perspectives. But yeah.
What's your impression of that receiver room? A lot of those guys were not here last season, or when you were here for your one season. So a lot of new guys. What's your impression there?
Yeah, I think a big thing that we've noticed so far is we have guys that make plays. We've been kind of challenging them to, when the ball's in the air, it's got to be theirs. We don't want 50-50 balls. They got to go make plays. And so far through our first 6 practices, they've definitely been doing that. It's been really impressive to watch. It's been fun.
All good.
Thank you guys.
Welcome back. What did you know about Nebraska before you decided to pull the trigger on committing here?
Shoot, I didn't really know much just because I'm an East Coast guy, like played in Florida, was like a big fan of like the Southern schools, but I really didn't know much until like I got in the portal and really started doing research.
So on that day when I think they called up several different quarterbacks. After the other guy went to Kentucky, what was that 12 to 24 hours like for you?
Yeah, no, it honestly was crazy because like the whole deal is crazy because I was going to a different school and then ended up getting the text and then ended up coming here on a visit and loving Coach Rule and his staff and coming here. But it's just the whole transfer portal deal it's wild how it works.
Is there, in that moment when you get that text, are you like, who's looking up the flights, or like how did it come together?
Yeah, so like a funny story, honestly. So 3 weeks before my bowl game, I accidentally ordered a Nebraska shirt. This is crazy. Like I was just buying presents for like my family, and I accidentally ordered a Nebraska shirt. And like when we opened it up, when Coach Rule like ended up texting me, and we were like, no way, this is wild. Like wild how it just worked out, but it was super crazy.
What did you mean to order?
Like a regular shirt. It was like a black T-shirt, and what came in was a black Nebraska shirt. And my mom was like, this is wild. Like no way.
Anthony, can you discuss a little bit of like what's been important for you in getting on the ground here and developing relationships right away with your teammates?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is just learn your teammates' names, right? Like you come into a locker room, you got to learn 120 guys, like new names, and like different relationships with different guys and just building relationship with offensive line, receivers, running backs, and defense as well. And I feel like I've done a great job doing that.
What's the process with that? How do you go about, besides just learning their names, looking at a roster,
Yeah.
maybe
No,
pictures?
I think like getting outside, going to dinner with guys, hanging out at their house, my house, whatever it is, and I feel like we've done that, like hanging out at the offensive line, them coming to my house, me going to their house and stuff. So we've done some cool things.
When you start researching, you talk about researching a school. What do you look at? What are the things that you look at right away?
Yeah, no, I think just the head coach, seeing Coach Rule's success in the past, when he was at Baylor, when he was at Carolina, just stuff like that, and seeing Coach Holt, his success at Houston, stuff like that, Coach Thomas, the Steelers, a lot of it goes into it.
Are you glad that you guys started spring this quickly?
Yeah, I am.
Been here and then you guys got right to work.
Yeah, I love it, honestly, just because like we got into it so fast to where I could build chemistry with the receivers early, and it's not like a later deal thing to where like shoot, we're already in install 4 with our offense, and we're damn near almost done. So it's big time for us, just getting a head start on everything.
So many people have talked just about your energy. It's contagious. Where does that come from, and that confidence as well?
Shoot, I would say it's my mom. My mom's like super outgoing and super jumpy, and I'm kind of like that too. Just trying to bring energy. Shoot, if it's in a practice or a workout.
Anthony, what's your relationship with Coach Holgerson like?
Yeah, me and Coach Hoger are super tight. When I was on my visit, I told my dad, I was like, he just jumped out, just his energy and his juice that he had with me and my family. And also like his offense. His offense has worked in the past, has worked here, and it's been awesome working with him.
Why do you think it's a good fit for you, the offense?
Yeah, no, I think the best fit is just giving your playmakers the ball, right? You have a lot of guys like Jacory, Quasi, and Isaiah, guys that can go make plays, and shoot, you're just trying to get them the ball and let them go make plays.
How do you build chemistry with receivers?
I think so. Of course, like on the field, you got to throw them this and that, but outside of football is huge, right? Hanging out with them, going to get food, stuff like that. That builds like the big time chemistry where you're really connected on the field.
How do they earn your trust? How do they earn your trust?
My trust? Yeah, no, I think it's just me being honest with them, right? Just telling them what I see, them telling me what they see, and just being truthful with each other and not lying to each other.
Were you involved at all in the portal?
Sorry.
Once you had signed, were you involved at all in the portal in terms of bringing
guys?
players?
Yeah, I was. So as soon as I signed, I was trying to text guys to come here. Like Paul, when I signed out, he was like the first guy I texted to get him here. Tree, guys like that. But no, it was super cool. And also like guys like Owen and Dwayne. It's funny because we almost played each other in the Mountain West Championship game, and then being from the Mountain West, they texted me. They're like, "You got to come here, this and that." So that was super cool.
What was it like? I mean, obviously you got guys from San Diego State, UCLA, guys you maybe played against before,
Yeah.
or familiar with, and all coming together part of
Yeah,
one
no,
team.
it's funny. I always joke with Anthony and Quasi because we ended up beating them week 4, and they always like make jokes and this and that. But no, it's super cool playing with all those guys.
Anthony, what are your goals here?
My goals here?
Yeah.
Shoot, I think the main goal here is just to win football games.
And what about your playing style for the fans that aren't familiar with, what you've been able to accomplish so far? How do you describe the way that you approach the game?
Yeah, the way I approach the game is just really being a playmaker at the quarterback position. You just gotta give good players the ball, right? Throw it to the open guy and shoot. I said in the other question that we got so many guys that can go make plays, and my job is just to give them the ball, let them go make plays.
Let's talk turnovers. How do you feel like you grew last year in reducing some of those and talking about some of the decisions Coach Thomas says about making good decisions, maybe not too quick, but also not slow?
Yeah, shoot. I think the biggest thing is when I was younger, my freshman, sophomore year, I turned the ball over a lot. Last year, I had some turnovers, but at the end of the day, like you grow up, you play more football, you see more defenses, and you don't just throw everything, right? You're smarter with pre-snap and post-snap reads.
We've heard a lot about Dan Mullen. He worked with Tim Tebow and obviously Dak Prescott. What did he teach you, and did you ever get a chance to learn from some of those quarterbacks or watch film of those guys that he worked with?
Yeah, so it was super cool. Me going there, I got to talk to Dak Prescott, Alex Smith, all those guys. And Coach Mullen, he made it super simple. He just said, throw it to the open guy, right? Like that. It's super simple, but I think he did a great job with me and all the quarterbacks that were there. Is just playing quarterback, not at a high level, but just being kind of a game manager, right? Just go out and just win the game, right? Throw it to the open guy.
What did Dak say to you?
What did Dak say? I just remember him just telling me to just listen to Coach Mullen. Like Coach Mullen, he said he was a huge father figure to him, and shoot, I kind of did the same deal with Coach Mullen, just him just telling me everything and listening to him.
How do you approach using your athleticism, your mobility, and incorporating that into the style that you want to play? Like, how comfortable are you, and like, what do you anticipate in the Big Ten with your ability to be able to run?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a big deal for guys, quarterbacks, just being able to run and get out the pocket. Like, say if your first, second read's not there, your third read's not there, like to be able to get out the pocket and go make plays downfield and shoot, give your good players the ball.
Do you approach your running, the amount that you will run any differently now that it's a more physical comp, versus is that in your mind?
Not really. It's not in my mind. Just go out and just get first downs and score touchdowns.
Now that you've been here at Nebraska for a while, just like has it resonated yet? Like taking advantage of the facilities and just that you play football for Nebraska. Like how cool is that?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, right? I think Nebraska is such a special place. I think the people here make the place. Honestly, if it's in the building or if it's in the community, but no, Nebraska is an awesome place.
The tight end room so far?
Yeah, the tight room's awesome. Shoot, guys like Luke, Eric, Carter's gonna be back. He's gonna be a huge deal for us. No, those guys are great.
We've seen some little bit of video clips from practice, and then Mekhi Nelson was in here earlier and said that, I think it was Mekhi, that you have a handshake for like every guy on the offense, even the linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go back to, did you do that with your previous teams, and what does that signify for you?
Yeah, so honestly, like that's like a relationship builder, right? I've done that since middle school. Like I've had a handshake with everyone, almost on the team. Like I'm trying to do that right now. Almost everyone on offense we have a handshake, so that's something that I like doing.
How do you remember it all?
I don't know. I honestly don't even know. Like it's crazy.
Anything else for Anthony?